I'll be in bed all this today.
Okay. Right around with doctors, you don't want to come see me.
I should do.
No, fair.
You want this?
She had an arthritis problem. That's why she went out of work, disability, yeah.
Things happen.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you what. It's difficult when you have those things happen too.
Oh, yeah, that's why we eat out together.
Address?
See us eat with program. You don't look much.
If you want it. Yeah, but,
I'm sorry. I thought I had to be here, that's all.
well, wait a minute. Why don't you wait till, why don't they wait till, what's her name comes in? She's supposed to come in tonight, don't you? Why don't you give yourself 15 minutes of wait down here until the court clerk might come in, okay? Then you'll be all right. Okay. Okay? Everybody okay? All right, then well, I'll take and call the town board meeting of October 8th to order. You join me in saluting the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call vote, ma'am.
Councilor Anthony? Here. Councilor Greco?
Here.
Councilor Marshall?
Here.
Councilor Holloway?
Here.
Supervisor Best?
Here.
Highway Superintendent Moyer? Highway Director Lyman?
Here.
Deputy Assessor here tonight? Mr. Holt?
Here.
And Deputy Supervisor Torres.
Did I say here?
Everyone else?
Okay, thank you. Okay, a motion concerning the minutes.
I'll make a motion that we dispense with reading of the previous minutes and accept them as written. I'll second them.
I haven't had time to read this now.
I have a concern on the minutes for October 1, 1997, where we were in session and during the discussion on the report from the highway superintendent over concerning best drives, and comment was made as to other options. And I did ask Councilperson Anthony if she concerned herself about representing my position as a member of the town board. And her reply was that she didn't represent me, and I asked her if there was anybody else she didn't represent, and she didn't give me anybody else's name. I would like to have the minutes amended to state that. Any objection to that?
Can I reply to that?
Sure.
I sit on this board to represent everybody. When I feel that someone is wrong, I do not represent the person if he is wrong.
Well,
That was my answer to you, Jim.
well, I asked you if you represented me as a member of the town board, and you told me no.
And I says, Bob, if you was doing something wrong, I
I'm not interested in what you told Bob. I'm answering.
Right at that meeting.
I asked you the question. You said no. Is that right?
Jim,
I asked you the question. You said no, and I want the minutes to
I
reflect that,
replied.
please.
All right, put my reply on there too. That if anybody's doing wrong in this town, I will not represent them.
Is that after court or what?
Well, Jim,
Have the
I
court
feel
make a
that you're
decision?
wrong, so I can't represent
Well,
you.
you don't represent me, right?
Right.
Okay. Anybody object to that statement added to the minutes?
Yeah.
Can I have a motion to? I make the motion to amend the minutes to read the fact that Ms. Anthony stated the fact she doesn't represent Mr. Best as a citizen of the town of
I
Granby.
don't think we need a motion. You just...
I just made it to amend the minutes.
Oh, you wanted to amend your part, and I thought she wanted to amend her
I
part.
don't care about her part. I'm asking to amend.
Well, you
part
don't
that I
care
know.
about my part.
I didn't make the
Well, I've
motion
gotta
for your
care
amendment.
about
I'm
you.
interested in making the amendment to reflect that
Jim,
you
this
stated
doesn't
you
make
don't represent
sense, Jez.
Mr. Best as a resident of the city of town of Granby.
You don't care about my part.
I didn't make the motion to get your part.
Oh,
Is there a motion made?
I made the motion. I need a second.
I don't know what the...
please, it's petty.
I'll second it.
Motion made, second. Any discussion? All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Oppose.
I'll oppose it.
Two
I don't
opposed.
understand what we're going about here. Really?
Any other discussion on these minutes? The other one I found was under Water South Plain, and it says in there, the town needs to create a river mist district expansion. That should be the town is exploring the need to create an expansion. I'm not sure after looking at it that statement is right. We may not need to create the river mist extension. It may already be part of the district. Just the word exploring.
Or may need, is that,
Yeah, or may need, yeah.
need a motion on that one too?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion that we change that to read the town may need to create a river mist district extension.
May need to or may need to explore?
Create a...
Well, I guess if you say may need to create.
Explore the need.
Yeah.
Town, explore the need. Pardon?
You want the words may need or may need to explore?
May need to explore.
Okay.
Or explore, actually, I'm looking at it, you haven't made a commitment, you gotta create the district yet. That's the only thing I'm trying to say here. This says we had to create a district, and that's not totally true yet.
So you need to explore making a decision.
Exploring, right. Okay. Got a motion made for that in a second?
No second.
I'll second it. Any discussion? No
Well,
discussion?
there's no need to explore it. It has to be a district, right?
No, but we may not have to create it. It may already be part of a district. That's what I'm finding out. I don't know, and that's what I'm saying. We don't need to take it, we don't want to create a district if it doesn't need a district. We're exploring,
Okay.
all I did
All
was
right,
present the thing that we
You have to
are,
expand the district.
yeah, if it needs to be by district or is just already part of the district, there's no need to have a district. And I'm just exploring the circumstance involved with it because as I've got into this more, there's discussion as to whether or not it's already part of the district.
Well, my discussion was that they tapped in illegal.
No, that's your discussion, and I have no problem with your discussion. I'm just saying, I'm not sure that happened. And that's what I'm trying to correct is the fact that
Jim,
it says we need.
they never came to the town for permission to tap in, so that's illegal.
Well, that may be, but I'm asking the question is whether or not we have the opportunity to put the district in place, or is it part of the district? That's the point. It may be part of the district by the fact that the 1988 resolution creating these Chattel Island Drive extension put the border of the property on the border of the Libo property. It may be the Libo properties in the district. So I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out.
And they're paying part of the cost anyway.
They're
so-
paying the cost now,
Are
yes.
we gonna find out if it's legal or illegal that they tapped in the
Yeah,
water?
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
that's not the question. The question is that we're exploring it, not that we gotta create the district, that's all.
Okay, we gotta explore it or expand it or something, one or the other. Explore or expand.
No.
Which you're
Hey,
saying.
Rose, you're mentioning about it, legality of that. Is that also Anderson Apartments and Mona Knolls? And they're all in water districts, aren't they?
They aren't in districts, no.
No, that's not a district.
But are you saying that's illegal?
Don't know really.
Who you asking, me?
Well,
No,
why isn't that illegal?
they did go through the town, didn't they?
No,
Mona Knolls didn't go through the town?
that's another place we've got an agreement, so it's gotta be discussed with the
In
city.
order to tap in, I don't understand when people do things and then you people say, this whole board says, well, it's done, let's just forget it, let them, why are,
I was not
you
on the
might
board.
as well throw our zoning book into the garbage because people
No,
do
it's
things
time
and
that
then,
we start enforcing these things, and it's time that we start looking at the Anderson Apartments, Mona Knolls, and any other place that has.
well, these people just tapped in, Bob, and you're on this board right now.
Well, the point of it is that you have several
And that's-
districts that could be developed that aren't districts now. Because of some reason, they take water in the city.
Why don't Joe Latino tap in and then just
He
come and
makes
just
an
snap in
application,
on the
he
hands
can.
and
He
the
makes
same
an
thing?
application, he can.
Well, I don't think we ought to get sidetracked with Mona. That was over 10 years.
Well, that's, I
They
mean.
never
this
made
was
an
brought up.
application to this board for water. They
The
never
motion was
came to this
made
board for
to
water,
change the
Jim.
word to exploring.
We just
All right,
changed
a
it.
second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. With those amendments, is any, can I have approval of the minutes for October 1, 97. And
I'll make a
September
motion.
10th.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of October 1 and September 10th with the adjustment as so noted.
Second to
I'll
it?
second it.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? And being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Communication, Madam Clerk?
New York State Department of Environmental Conservation to J.K. Tobin Construction Company regarding a permit for South Granby Pit. Enclosed is a renewed mining permit for the above referenced facility. Please read and comply with all general and special conditions. Should you wish to continue mining beyond the permit expiration date, a renewal must be submitted. Likewise, a permit modification shall be required for any future changes you propose to your mine plan. Open letter to the Granby Town Board. I understand a statement was made by a town board member which greatly disturbs me as the tour director for the Granby senior citizens. The statement was that senior citizens would have difficulty getting funding from the town when they can afford to take trips to Europe. Obviously, the person who said this is erroneous in his thinking and doesn't know what our trip program is all about. First, let me say that only about 4 to 5% of the Granby senior citizens have ever taken trips to Europe. The majority of people who have gone in the past have been from outside our town and our senior citizens club. The same is true for many of our overnight trips. Last year, we had 5 people go to Europe, 3 of whom were members. In 1995, 9, and in 1993, 11 of our 200-plus members traveled there. The people who go on overnight trips pay for everything, including the transportation costs. Secondly, the funding from the town of Granby is used solely to pay for day trip buses. Our day trips are planned specifically for the enjoyment of people who cannot afford to or are physically unable to go on overnight trips. The day trips are not restricted, however, and are open to all members. These are the people you are helping. If there is room on the bus, non-members may go for an additional cost of $5 for transportation. The $450 per year, which is provided by you, pays for one or less long bus trip. I've had quotes for bus trips costing much more, and we just don't go because I don't feel we can justify the expense. I tried to plan on several local area trips for which bus costs aren't too expensive for our treasury. Please take this into consideration when budgeting funds for our Senior Citizens Club. You definitely are not paying for people to travel to Europe, nor would I expect you to do so. Yours truly, Fern Anthony, Tour Director for Senior Citizens. From the Oswego County Department of Planning and Community Development. Dear Supervisor Best, each year the Oswego County Department of Planning and Community Development, in cooperation with the Oswego County Soil and Water Conservation District, prepares a program narrative which describes how the Finger Lakes Ontario Watershed Protection Alliance funds will be allocated. As you know, funding is insufficient to cover all aquatic harvesting needs in Oswego County, and as a result, our program operates on a 50-50 cost-share basis. Based on previous harvesting records, we would like to appropriate $4,500 for harvesting of 22.5 acres on Ox Creek in 1998. An additional $4,500 is needed in order for harvesting to be conducted. The total harvesting cost per acre is $400 for a total of $9,000. As always, time is of the essence as narratives are due in mid-November. Please give me a call no later than October 31st and let me know if matching funds are available for harvesting in 1998. Karen Noyes, Senior Planner. From the New York State Canal Corporation, dear Canal Community Leader. The Canal Corporation is excited by recent funding from various sources made available to localities that border the canal system. The The purpose of this letter is to bring a unique opportunity to the specific attention of those entities that neighbor the canal system and encourage application for these funds. In November 1996, the people of this state proclaimed their commitment to a clean environment by approving Governor Pataki's $1.75 billion Clean Water, Clean Air Bond Act. The act makes funding available to municipalities for projects in the following areas: local waterfront revitalization, historic preservation heritage areas, municipal environmental restoration, clean water, solid waste, farmland preservation, and air quality. Corporation Director of Canal Grants, Robert Ritter, would welcome the opportunity to discuss the benefits and the potential utilizing of this bond act. And this was from Matthew Berman, the director. From the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, dear New Yorker, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has completed the draft New York State Solid Waste Management Plan 9798 update. The draft update is available for review at DEC headquarters in Albany, New York, and at the 9 DEC regional offices, and has been sent to the New York State Depository Libraries and other major libraries across the state. The DEC will hold a public hearing on the draft update on Tuesday, October 28, 1997 at 2 p.m. and at 7 p.m. at the Ramada Inn of Albany. That's from John Cahill, Commissioner. To Jim Best and board members, please be advised that we have sold our farm and will be moving out of the town of Granby on or before the first week of November. Therefore, let this letter serve as my resignation as planning board member and secretary effective November 1st, 1997. The planning board will be holding a public hearing on or about October 28th, which I believe I will be able to attend. It has been a pleasure to be a part of the planning process of the town of Granby over the past 6 years. Signed, Elsie Nassett, member and secretary of the town of Granby Planning Board. To the members of the town of the Granby Town Board, please be advised that it is my intention to fully retire. My effective resignation date from my office as a Granby Town Justice will be November 1st, 1997. By submitting this letter to you by September 15th, 1997, will provide you with 45 days' notice. I have decided to resign in order that the Justice-elect will have no problem obtaining from you the required means to allow him to attend the basic required certification schools when next given. These courses are normally given toward the end of November, after the general election. Please note that the Justice-elect will also be required to order a number of new and/or updated law books. Respectfully, Frank Fox, Justice, Town of Granby.
We had a request for planning board to present something to the board to, no objection to read this communication.
From James Karasik, Chairman of the Town of Granby Planning Board. To Supervisor Best and board members, please allow this letter to serve as the Planning Board's formal request for the town to hire the Oswego County Planning Board to write a comprehensive plan at the cost of $5,000. Pursuant to a conversation I had with Ed Marks, the cost can be paid in 2 payments, $2,500 to be allocated out of the current budget and the remaining $2,500 from next year's budget. After doing research on the cost of such plans, which I shared with the other board members, the board voted by a majority vote that it was the best way to accomplish the goal. All members believe this amount of money to be very minimal. There is a timetable involved, therefore, the planning board needs an immediate directive. Again, that's from Jim Karasik. Can I have one more? You said
Yes.
Dear fellow town board members, on February 11th, 1997, at a special town board meeting, I made the mistake of making a motion requesting figures on what the town of Granby spent on River Mist Road, as the Granby Highway Department worked on this road. In the minutes to this meeting, it states that there wasn't a second to the motion, which there was by Councilman Greco, so no action was taken. I believe that as a town board member, when I request information or documentation regarding town business, I do not need to make a motion. Rather, just receive the items requested without a problem. It was apparently my mistake by making a motion and allowing you to have me believe this is the way information is obtained by a council person. I will clarify my intentions now. What I would like to know as a town council person is all the information surrounding the building and taking over of Windermere and Extension, or as it now is known by River Mist Road. This would include supplies, work orders, town of Granby salaries paid, equipment used by the town, and all documentation regarding this issue. As I have said before, I am an elected official who prides myself in being a loyal servant to the residents of the town of Granby who depend on me for answers. Sincerely, Rose Anthony. And then she has a list of questions I was asked to answer.
Well, we'll take it, can we submit them to the town superintendent of highways and let them follow up and make a report?
May I please, may I please have her finish my letter, please?
Oh, I thought you had a list of questions that were
Yes,
different
no.
than the letter.
Yeah.
Uh-huh, okay. You want to
She's
do
got
it?
down what she wants to know.
Okay, I'd like her to finish.
What we want to know: 1, how many linear foot of highway was existing? 2, how many linear foot of highway did Perry and Zerickny build to get to their development property? 3, how many linear foot of highway on housing development property was there, and how big was the turnaround? I need copies of plans. 4, was the decision to barter with Perry and Zerickny a town board decision? If so, I want to see the minutes. 5, if the decision to barter was not a board decision, then whose decision was it? And did he, she, or they have the legal authority to do so? 6, where did the stone come from? 7, where did the oil come from? In parentheses, asphalt. 8, how long were town employees on this job before town officials questioned the job's validity, ultimately ceasing the activity? What time of day was the activity halted?
Can I refer to the first part? Could you read the first part to me again on the questions?
First question, how many linear foot of highway was existing?
Where? Does it say where?
River Mist.
Well, no, it just says, what we want to know, how many linear foot of highway was existing?
The next question, please.
How many linear foot of highway did Perry and Zerickny build to get their development property?
How much they built to get to it?
How many linear foot of highway did Perry and Zerickny build to get to their development property?
Okay. Okay, well, the only question I have is everything that, I take it, everything that's in Willowbob was town road, so I just want to make sure that, but I would, if it doesn't have any objection from the board, I'd direct that to the highway superintendent to give us a report, since he would have the numbers in his file, I suppose, if anything he could do with the information, I guess. Any objection to that?
None?
Anybody?
No, I don't.
You don't
I've
have,
already given Miss Anthony anything I could find in the files pertaining to it, so to direct it to me, I'm not going to be able to come up with anything more than I already.
Well, then she already has the information you have?
She has what I have, yes.
Oh, okay.
it's nothing,
Well, that may be what's there, but I don't think I'm looking.
like 350.
appointed committees that look into it.
Please,
I've got a person to take a look at when I get done.
you haven't answered these specific questions, have you, Lynn?
You know, it's the first time I've seen them, but
Okay.
Well, the thing I want to do is direct them to you, you take a look at them, and you come up with the answers you got, and then present them to the board as to what you come up with, and the board will take a look at what we got to do to provide the rest of it. Okay, is that the end of the communication, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
On the letter from the senior citizens, could I have you read the first part of that? You have in there is something about statements made by the board?
Oh, I have a copy of that, well, I believe I have it here.
I understand a statement was made by the a town board member which greatly disturbs me as the tour director for the Granby senior citizens. The statement was that the senior citizens would have difficulty getting funding from the town when they can afford to take trips to Europe.
Okay, thank you. The only thing, my concern on that is there a date when that statement was made? Was it a town board meeting?
It's not specific as to...
Doesn't say it's a town
date
board meeting, or
when
doesn't?
that statement was made.
No date, no town board meeting, or no no activity where the board was organized to discuss things?
It didn't specify that it was at a board meeting, it just...
Well, the only problem I have is...
That a statement was made by a board member.
I know that citizens elected to town offices have to give up a lot of things to take and be able to provide services to people, but one of the things they can't have to be asked to give up is the constitutional rights of freedom of speech. If that discussion is made independent of a board meeting, and there was no discussion of senior citizen, then I think it's irrelevant. I think that the senior citizens may take offense at someone saying something, but until someone tells me that the town board member loses the right of his constitutional privileges of freedom of speech, I don't see where that is an item to be contended with. I can understand that they're concerned about the budget, but that's an item we cover in the budget session when we have the budget hearing. I just wanted to comment on that because I think that is critical here. We don't give up every right by being a member of the town official body. No one does. Now, on the resignation of Elsie Massett, I would take and ask the board to accept the resignation by motion with a direction to send a letter of appreciation for the fine work she's done. She's been very aggressive and competent in the service she's done. So could I entertain a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
I have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Motion made and second. Any other comment? Another comment? All in favor?
Excuse me, on the, is there a possible replacement coming in on that?
No, we'll get to that when we get into advertising. We'll do that next
Because
month.
there was a fee that we were, that she was being paid for her services.
Oh, see, there is someone on the planning board appoints their own person. They have a person there ready to do it, yes. Yep.
Well, okay.
I mean, I take it that was the plan,
Yeah,
but I guess they have.
I think what Bob might be referring to is, I think we'll have to discuss, even though they have the right to a perk, that we made a special arrangement with the salary. I don't know if that other person...
Why would you change the salary?
Oh, I thought you might, because this person's resigning had a lot of experience.
Well, okay, that's a discussion to be made with I mean, I don't have any problem with that, but my concern right now is accepting the resignation
Right,
of the
that's fine.
person. Okay.
And sending her a letter. I agree with you on that. Or her.
Any other discussion on it? No other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, Madam Clerk. No other communications?
Jim, staying with these letters, on Judge Fox's letter, he makes a mention that the new person coming in is going to require new law books. Are the law books, I know we've been buying, or the town has been buying law books here, and new ones just recently, but do they go with the individual when he retires, or do they stay
No.
here?
The law books stay here. They're property of the town, and we always update the law books. That's part of the contractual. So that's a mute problem as far as I'm concerned. They're there. I don't know why.
And the other thing on the planning board, this $5,000 that they're talking about, what is this what type of program is this?
Well, I think my concern on that would be that we haven't seen a contract with the county to be reviewed as the service being rendered, and I think that's appropriate. I was going to ask to get that after, okay. I'll call and get something from somebody as to what that contract would be and what the costs are. And the budget for requests for 1998 doesn't include the $5,000 for the update of that kind, so we got to consider that too. Okay.
I was just going to say, we probably would want to have maybe meet the chairman anyways. Of the
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's what I say. He's going to have to make a presentation as to what's happening. Okay. Under old business updates, we were asked by the planning board concerning the mining and the a response to that, and right this moment, we're reviewing, as far as I know, we aren't ready to do anything with it this moment, right?
Correct. I haven't had a chance to speak with Steve at all.
The other thing we had, it was, the model site plan review of local law was for me to get in touch with Mr. Marks, and I haven't had the chance to, but that's in the county, and he's supposed to be doing it. He had a death in the family recently, so, but he was gonna do that, so that part we'll follow up on. The other thing we had is road specs. The town board has reviewed, and the planning board has reviewed, and the superintendent of highway recommends a resolution to have a public hearing on a local law number 3, minimum standard for road constructions as per attached, and what we need to do before we make the resolution is when we want to have a public hearing. You have to give 10 days notice in the paper, so you're...
We scheduled one for the,
Did we schedule one for the... We scheduled one
budget.
for... Yeah, but you don't want to do this in the budget, because
No.
you're going to be in the budget for a while.
no, I'm just saying that we have one already, one scheduled this month.
Yeah. You want to do one, the advertisement goes out, would you want to do one around the 27th or 28th?
Oh, we got a meeting on the 29th, you know that.
Yeah, we should do it and get it done.
Let's do the 28th, because then we don't conflict with the mining people. Okay?
Is there any others
I
that
mean,
we can
Justice
couple
Court.
with that at the same time?
Pardon?
Are there any others that we can
Yeah,
couple
we got another
with that?
resolution we're going to get into here too. We'll just, but if we schedule that for the 28th, then we can do the other one when we get to that too. Okay, so that would take and give us an opportunity to do that one.
7 o'clock on the 28th?
7 o'clock, yeah, on the 28th. Okay, resolution, so do you want to read that, Ray? Or?
I got a meeting tomorrow.
Be it now therefore resolved that the town board of the town of Granby, New York does hereby agree to schedule a public hearing for the purpose of receiving public comment on proposed town of Granby local law number 3, town of Granby minimum standards for road construction as attached, pertaining to proposed road construction specifications as approved by the town planning board on June 16, 1997. Said public hearing shall be held at the Granby Town Hall on October 28th, beginning at 7 p.m.
You're making the motion?
You making a resolution,
Making
yeah.
the resolution,
Yeah.
Ray?
Yes.
I'll second it, Ray.
Motion made and seconded, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor? A roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Anthony?
Aye.
Counselor Greco?
Aye.
Counselor Marshall?
Aye.
Counselor Palawitz?
Aye.
Supervisor Vest?
Aye. Yes, Madam Clerk. On the junk law, we have been requested to react to that. We've had counsel, town attorney has responded to it, and I would entertain a motion to, for the town board to act on the junk law revisions. I think we got to do that, because otherwise we'll send it back to planning board.
Yeah, but we, in our work session, we didn't have exactly what, in mind, what we were looking for.
No, we're going to do that, but we need to take and pass a motion to take and respond to the recommendation of the planning board. So we need a motion to make it a town board revision instead of the planning board divisions.
Oh, you want the town board to make the revision? Oh, all right, I'll make a motion.
Have a second to it?
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded, discussion?
Well, the only discussion, we probably, I don't know if we're gonna form a committee of the whole board or a committee of 2 or 3, I don't know which.
Yeah, well, I figure we do it committee of 2.
Oh.
We talked about it, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other discussion?
No.
Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, Madam Clerk. We'll appoint a committee of,
2 or 3, anyway.
well, you should do it. 2 will do it.
Okay, me and Bob.
Dennis and Bob, yeah. Mhm.
I can volunteer you, Bob.
That's good.
I'm good, right?
Okay, we have a letter from the town superintendent of highways pertaining to the traffic study on Best Drive, dated September 24th, 1997. Dear board members, at your request, the traffic study has been completed on Best Drive. The New York State Department of Transportation performed the study through the use of a traffic counter. The timing of the testing, the placement of the counter, and the collection of the data and the compiling of a report was at the discretion of the testing agency. Copy of the completed report is attached. As you can see, the New York State Department of Transportation estimated the average annual daily traffic count at 26 vehicles. Since Best Drive is a dead-end roadway, the count should be halved, leaving the actual average daily traffic count of 13 vehicles. The town attorney, Mr. Dennis Hawthorne, Jr., outlined in a letter dated August 20th, 1997, that if a determination was made that more than 2 vehicles daily was traveling across the road, then a letter to the town board should be sufficient to close action on the petition. In my view, based on the attached report, that more than 2 vehicles daily are traveling across the Best Drive. Therefore, this roadway does not meet the requirements of a qualified amendment as requested in the petition received on 8/11/97, signed by Mr. Harold Phillips. Sincerely, Lynn Moyer. On the resolution, I got this one here. Now, what have I got here? Hold it. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. I'm sorry. My apologies. Building inspector vacancy. In the review of the applications for building inspector services, we put out a request for people qualified, and we come up with 2 firms that the board interviewed, with Weisel, Arnold, Fulton, New York, that is owned and operated by Mr. Dan Rousseau, and a firm of life safety consultants out of Cortland, New York. I talked with both people here, and specifically with the gentleman from life safety. We had references from the Village of Weedsport, dated October 7, 1997, Town of Granby. Dear Cat, the Village of Weedsport is contracted with life safety consultants since October 1993. They currently provide a fire inspection, zoning, and building inspection for the village. We find life safety knowledgeable regarding state building code and fire inspection. We also believe that isolating the village by using an outside contract for those services and zoning helped alleviate any perception of favoritism. Very truly yours, Paul Clark, Mayor. Village of Elbridge, Town of Granby, September 24th, 1997. Please consider this letter of recommendation for life safety consultant. Prior to the Village of Elbridge hiring life safety consultant in 1993, the village utilized a local resident who always seemed to do what was politically correct instead of enforcing New York State codes, rules, and regulations. Village board wanted to turn this situation 180 degrees by hiring an entity not tied or bound to any resident in our community, preferably someone from outside our locale. The board reviewed 5 surrounding municipalities who already had life safety consultant in place, and we're very pleased with the results. I can actually say when Doug Staley took over, our code enforcement department of village was 1 year behind in performing our multiple dwelling, commercial, and public assembly fire inspection. Doug committed 2 employees for approximately 1 month, bringing our program up to date. At the present time, CEO Kevin Essel is assigned to our village for 8 hours a week, 4 hours on Monday and 4 hours on Thursday. During these times, he handles all code concerns, issue all building necessary permits, provide the narrative weekly investigation, including a monthly report. Kevin attends the Town of Elbridge Justice Court, representing the village for any violation he may have issued. My philosophy is to address every problem with a question: how can we accomplish our goal of code enforcement like educating and assisting our residents all at the same time? Including, I would rate life safety consultant an A+ on communication, attention to detail, and community service, which I feel is a plus when enforcing codes and zoning. Please feel free to contact my village office anytime. Timothy J. Gainey, Mayor of the village. Those were the 2 that we were able to attain as recommendations. And I talked to Mr. Staley about his proposal, and his proposal would be effective at a date we would say to the end of 1997, December 31st, subject to reconsideration in January by the board sitting at that time.
Yeah, we had a question in regards to that, his proposal in regards to using office help. Was there any clarification on that?
Yes, we called on that, and that was due to the clerical work in terms of issuing a permit, like the town clerk does now, where she comes in, they come in and ask for something, and they pay the fees and stuff like that, and that's what they were discussing at the time. So,
okay.
So
record keeping and everything else would fall under their
responsibility. Yep.
Okay.
And the reporting and the services for building inspection only. And their payment would be $450 payable monthly. and that'd be subject to whatever date we started with this thing. So I'll entertain a motion considering that.
I'll make a motion that we accept and hire life safety consultants to handle the building inspector's position for the town of Granby,
Would you accept the 15th of October, the starting date?
effective October 15th, 1997. To
Motion
run
made.
through the end of the year.
Yep, December 31st, 1997.
I'll second it.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? One of the things that I bring forth to the audience is the fact that in the review since February, trying to obtain services under the building inspection area, one of the things we were looking for was not only consistency in the building permit application and surveys that had to be done, but also the record keeping and the capability of providing other services as needed. Life Safety has available to them a whole realm of consultants that could be used if the town board or the planning board or the ZBA found it necessary to do it. They have engineering consultants, they have zoning specialist consultants. Anything that would be needed would be within the purview of the town board or the planning board or ZBA to hire directly under this contract per fee basis on the request. It would have to be approved by the town board to take an action to hire somebody, but the planning board and the ZBA have the privilege in their budget to take and spend money for these consultant areas. So in attempting to provide this service, we first attempted to arrange something with the City of Fulton, which went down under that circumstance. We'd had the privilege of having the City of Fulton administer it and possibly had one of their several building inspectors, either Mr. Lunn, Mr. Talents, or Mr. Keeney, who now employed there, to be able to work in our town if that had happened. It didn't happen, and since that time we've been working with the arrangement we had since February, which has sufficed but hasn't met the obligation that the town felt was needed. With that being said, any other discussion?
Well, I know I'm going to make a discussion because I mentioned to Bob before the meeting. We've only got 2.5 months to go. Steve carried the load when we really needed him. I felt he did the job to the best of his ability. And I feel for 2.5 months, I would have just soon left Steve to handle the situation. And I feel later on when the new board comes on, it would be to let these people review, because I don't think we can find out much how good these people are going to be in 2.5 months. It's just my own personal feeling. I felt Steve did the job when it was tough, and now we're down at the bottom of the hill. Let him finish it up, and next year, let's just review it. It's just nothing for or against one way or the other, as far as the company.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, wasn't Steve the one that was wanting us to fill that position as soon as possible initially?
That was true back about 3-4 months ago during, June, July, August. I mean, he definitely wanted some help, but I've talked to him, not this week, I'll be honest, it was last week, and things definitely slow up, and he'd have no problem continuing to the end of the year, and he is doing the job,
Well, I like the idea that the people would be in here 2 days a week. They would be setting up their system during the slow period. So I think this is an ideal time for the people to come in.
And I think 2.5 months, we'll give them a chance to, see how they're gonna operate and take a look at them. Then they'll know next year, if
You
they're
could
gonna
be
continue.
right, because things don't really start until, about
Yeah. Well, they'll give them a
April or
chance
May,
to
but,
look at it.
Any other discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I was opposed.
One opposed, Madam Clerk. Okay. We had last month a discussion here concerning the water system south, Water District South, and several comments made by Mr. Don Phillip, a member of that district. And in the Time in between, we have chased down some information. We'll get a final report to him. One of the things that was in there was the fact that there was properties that had been added to the district, and it was a concern whether it was in a district or not. In the process of chasing this down, I have come across the county health department saying they consider it part of the district. When they approved it, we as a town have assessed them as part of the district, and that the discussion that has to be chased down is what happened in the 1988 resolution when an extension was made to the original district onto what they call Shadow Island Drive. I'm looking at that, so just to make sure everybody understands that complaint is being reviewed, and hopefully by next month we'll have whatever we need to do. If there's need for a water district extension, that would be considered by the board and a proper appropriation taken on that. If it's the fact that it's already in the district, that would be decided. And also, we have two issues. One is who's being assessed and who's not being assessed for what amount of meter capacity on the line that's already part of the water cell. So that's my position on that right this moment. I've chased it down. I talked with Mr. Stillman from the health department, and I've talked with a couple other people concerning it. And right at this moment, it's still up in quandary. I talked with the town attorney about it, trying to determine exactly when and who determined that the district was in or not in compliance. So I will follow that up and get it back to the board as soon as I have it. Any other comments on that?
Yeah, I still want to know, they didn't follow our procedures, so what do you do with them after you find out they did it illegal? What do you do with people like this?
Well, I'm not sure it's illegal yet until I find out whether or not they're part of the district. That's what I'm saying. You can't say somebody's done something illegal till you know.
You can't tap into it without coming to the town.
Well,
Well, they went to the city.
if the city of Fulton ties to the supplies the oversight on the line, the county health department approves the attachment to the line, and the system is built. The system was not built by the town of Granby. That was built by those people. If they was allowed to tap on that line, okay, then that has been part of the discussion. And whether or not they should have a formal district formed, that's another part of the discussion. I don't have the information on that, so I'm not ready to take a position myself as to whether something was done right or wrong. I'm looking at how do we define it, and then what steps we have to correct it, and if there is any penalties involved, we'll discuss that too.
Fine. We know they're paying something right now, that's for
They're
sure.
paying a share of the water district, yes.
Have been, since they went into it.
Yep. Any other old business?
Yeah, can I make a request from Bob? The town budget of 1997 total budget and 1998 estimate total, when it's, can I have it when you get around to it?
You got the budget for 97.
I've got it, but 98, and I want to compare 97 to 98
Well, you
without.
got it.
Working on it.
You're working on it. You
Okay,
got the budget. It's in your hand.
no, I haven't got it all yet. I just want the total figures, and I want to, I don't want the,
We're meeting
I don't
tomorrow on
want
the
the
budget,
sales tax in it.
You
I
don't
want
the
it
sales
without
tax
the
in it?
sales tax, yeah.
You don't want any sales tax in it?
I want to figure it without the sales tax,
Why?
because I want to do it, I want to figure my way, Jim. I don't know how you
Well-
figure. I just want to figure, I want to put, what our taxes are without the sales tax, what they will be with the sales tax. I want to do, I want these figures to do it, I want to do my own book work at home, okay?
Well, that's all right.
Well,
It's
maybe
in the...
Bob can
I
get it
don't-
tomorrow.
I
Let
don't
me
feel if we're
explain.
going to get
Hold
$180,000.
it, hold it. Just a minute. Can I just say this to you?
Let me finish explaining. Let me finish explaining. So we're gonna get $180,000 in revenue. I wanna see what our taxes are without that $180,000. I wanna see how high our taxes are gonna go up in the town. And this $180,000 should be going to the taxpayers. And I just wanna do my own figuring, okay?
You lost your job, Bob.
The problem I have, in the budget,
I like to figure both
in the
ways.
budget that's proposed, that the town clerk has, you got the tentative budget, Madam Clerk? It says the total budget, and it tells the tentative revenue for 1998 proposed, and the potential budget items as of October 1, correct? As the tentative budget for October 1, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so in that budget is all the items you have to work on tomorrow. You're working on it tomorrow.
Without the 3%.
Well, maybe,
Without the 3%.
we can get that tomorrow, what she's talking about.
Okay.
Okay.
I
be
wonder-
aware, Rosie, we only applied the sales tax money from for this year to the general fund and the highway fund. We did not intend to apply any of it to the 5 districts we had. So if you want the whole budget is general, highway, 2 fire districts, and 5 other districts. That's the whole budget. So you're asking the wrong question.
I'm awful hard to, I have an Italian head here, but,
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
all right, because that $180,000 that we're getting from the county,
156.
it's going up this year.
Well, okay, last year was one.
Last year was 3/4, this year is 4/4, so you're gonna get maybe 180. I'd like to
Well,
know,
do you want to know, would you like to take and have somebody define what the per capita aid that comes from the state, that's money that comes from the state that affects the
I
budget?
just hate to get all this money and you put it in, you say, okay, this one gets a raise, that one gets a
Well, that's the supervisor's job. The supervisor's job is to present a budget to you, including all the revenues and
Well,
all
I
the
am
disbursements.
trying, you say I am supposed to do my job as a town board member.
Well, I agree, but
Right.
what you're asking for, you already have.
Well, she wants to
Okay.
put out the sales tax
Okay.
separate. For the,
Under new business.
on general,
I'll get it when I see it, Bob. Thank you,
Staying with
Bob.
old business, is there anything more on Snug Harbor?
I haven't
I see
received anything
Mr.
on Snug
McKeon
Harbor.
here.
Just what I read in the paper.
I haven't read anything in the paper. I've been buying the paper too. My wife did.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Okay. Under new business, the 1997 ambulance contract, 1997-99. Actually, what it is, a contract that starts between the first day of 97 through 99.
That's it.
We worked with a extension of the 1996 budget at the same rate, and the dollar amount for January 1, 1998 through 1990, December 31st, 1998 would be $18,076.50. And the year of January 1, 1999 through December 31st, 1999, the sum is $18,618.80. And it'll be from, this contract will go from January 1, 1998 through December 31st, 1999. And this is a annual, or I should say it's a contract we sign every 3 years for annual reimbursement under some agreement for the town as part of our budget process.
This was a 2-year one, I should rather.
Well, it includes from, it covered 97 because of somebody put it for 97. I don't know why, but we'll change that to 98.
That's another thing I,
Not only it's 3, but this one's
Yeah, it's an increase, but, yeah. We'll have it in the budget tomorrow for you, Bob.
may I say something?
Yeah.
I think we are the only ones outside of the city of Fulton that has this. We're the only
Contract.
two.
We're very fortunate we got it.
Fortunate
Yes.
for $18,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Fortunate.
Very important we have it.
I'm against it.
That's okay.
Well,
Fortunate.
Jim, in that contract there, can we again inform them we'd like to have monthly reports from them
Yes.
regarding
was it a monthly what we had, Bob, or every 3 months?
We try to get a month.
monthly?
Contract you got, I think?
It was monthly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's for budget anyway. We don't have to act on it tonight, it's just for, we're not approving it tonight. That'll be done with the 1998 period of time. We just got it for budget.
Right. Okay, you're up on 11th Street Sewer District, I guess.
Okay. 11th Street Sewer District, we have a arbitration request concerning the Mr. Fleto's Fleto Construction versus the district for approximately $9,000 for extras, which is going to arbitration. The town didn't authorize any extras, and that's this position we're taking. So that's where we are. Just to report to you, we'll be taking that to arbitration whenever the final date is for the arbitration.
Don't our attorney get involved to help pick the arbitrators? They
No.
pick?
No, our attorney responding to the arbitration request.
Will he represent us at this?
Yeah. if it's necessary. It may not be necessary to be there. You may not have any activity going on because of what we got. Okay, I have a request from, a complaint on sewer problems on Route 48 North, sewer complaint. Town of Granby. Granby Town Board members, dear board members, the County Oswego Health Department has cited my septic as inadequate and in need of an upgrade to meet New York State sanitation criteria. The estimated cost for the necessary septic improvements to my property is approximately $10,000. As a consolidated school district, Fulton has an 8-inch sewer line adjacent to my home, servicing the Granby Elementary School. I have considered the possibility of connecting the service as an option. I request the town board offers direction as to the proper procedure to follow in the circumstances. Daniel Castellino, Jr. The board was made aware of this. They directed me to meet with the city's Fulton School District. I have talked with Mr. Egan and sent a letter to Mr. Egan requesting their review as to whether or not it's feasible to get into their system, what the cost would be to take over the system, and see if we can resolve this problem for the gentleman without having to put a new system in his backyard, since the line's right in his front yard, the main line. They're going to do that. I have consulted with the city, I've consulted with the health department, told them we're going through this process. I've responded to Mr. Castellino, telling him that we are working on it, and we'll see what comes of it. Right this moment, the city of Fulton, the school district of Fulton's Consolidated School District, I requested them to advise us as the feasibility of allowing the town to create that, pick up their district line, and the cost of that for those people in that area. They're looking at it and see if it can be done, and the county health department is looking at that as an option that they agree with. So,
And did he give you any idea of response time?
no, I would think it's going to be rather soon because of
Within a
some
month,
reason.
maybe?
Oh yeah, I would say we should have something in a week or two.
Okay.
As to whether or not, the basic thing is, can we do it? If we can do it, then the procedure has to take whatever procedure you have to follow.
Jim, would the people getting into that system, would they be responsible for part of the expenses that the school had for putting in that system?
They would, let's just say it's negotiable, but the property that's, the service system that's in the roadway, in the right-of-way, anything to do with the right-of-way, and service to the plant would become a district. The school district still would be part of the district, so the cost of the 8-inch line that's in Route 48 right-of-way from their property exit on Route 48 to the north to the city of Fulton's treatment plant, that would be the area we'd be talking about. The property line that they've got, or the sewer line on their property and so on, I presume would be their own problem. But that may be something else too. The most important part of it is, as far as I can see, is that the people in that area could take and buy up that existing district or existing line and make a district if they wouldn't have to do anything else but pass a district formation and do the things that would be involved in bonding for it. They wouldn't have to do construction, and they would have to have a dollar amount that they would have to bond for to pay for the city of Fulton School District's costs for that part of it. The school district still would be a member of the district, so there's a lot of if and ands whether you can do it or not. The school district is willing to, if it's possible, to consider doing it, depending on what the negotiations determine. In the same time, I'm talking about taking the pump station that's on Sewer North and making that part of that district also. If they create the district, that would take care of the pump problem. We have about $3,000 that we spend annually on maintenance and pumps up there, so electric. So, but we could take and use that cost to buy in the district. That'd be 10 years, it'd be $30,000.
Part of your discussion has to be to pay off FHA.
Well,
Maybe.
no, well, we would not take and get involved with the FHA item because that's a district by itself. We would just take that, move the waste without the pump, gravity flow to it, and they would buy into the service there. I mean, all the things negotiable, but the school district is willing. The county health department is looking at county health department looked favorably for it, and I know we're not having any problem with the city of Fulton on it.
So we got 2 buses, we just gotta,
Yep.
school goes, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. At the direction of the town board, I conversed with the city of Fulton and have discussed the possibility of funding through this bond act, the Environmental Bond Act, $500,000 for an upgrade to the city of Fulton sewer plant, which would take and provide the source, or I should say the resource, for the town of Granby to place their sewage at in the future. In 1996, at the direction of the town board, I placed a request for $500,000 in the Environmental Bond Act for upgrade of the sewer plant in Fulton for the town of Granby. That money's in there in a line item. Whether it gets used or not is based on the fact there's an application, and that the city of Fulton is interested in having that upgrade, and the town of Granby's $500,000 provided by the state of New York, presumably, would buy into that plant for the town of Granby. So, under the direction of the town board, I negotiated with the town, for the town, with the city, to provide the engineering needs to make the application October 20th. So we have a resolution in front of us that says, where the town of Granby hereinafter called the municipality, after thorough consideration of various aspects of the problem and study of available data, as hereby determined certain work is described in this application and attachment herein called the project is desirable. It is in the public interest and is required in order to implement the project. Whereas Article 56 of the Environmental Conservation Law authorizes state assistance to municipality for environmental restoration project by means of a contract, and the municipality that deems it to be in the public interest and benefit under this law to enter a contract therewith. Be therefore resolved that the Town Board of Town of Granby, New York, does hereby agree that Town of Granby is the representative authorized to act on behalf of the municipal governing body in all matters related to the state assistance under ECL Article 56, Title 3. The representative is also authorized to make application to execute the state assistance contract, submit project documentation, otherwise act for the municipality's governing body in all matters related to the project and the state assistance. The municipality agrees that it will fund its portion of the cost of the project, defines a local match on its application for state assistance payments under Item 10. The proposed budget using a state revolving fund loan is administered by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and New York State Environmental Facility Corporation. 1. Certified copy of this resolution be prepared and sent to the Albany office of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation together with an application of state assistance payments. This resolution will take effect immediately. And what it does is give us the opportunity to take and make the application for the October 20th deadline to request the upgrade of the City of Fulton sewer plant, and the funding would be from the Environmental Bond Act, and the 15% that's talked about in here would be 15% of $500,000, and that money would be something that would be negotiated by the town board upon the approval from DEC that they would get the money, that the town would have the money available to them. And the town board would negotiate that with the city of Fulton and make whatever decision they want to make. There's nothing binding other than the fact you're making the application. If you should be successful in getting the application approved, then upon that, the town board has to agree to want to do the following things: negotiate with the city, make the dollar amounts available that would be needed to supplement whatever is coming, if it's not 100%, and otherwise represent the town. But the main thing about it is, the money's in there for the city of Fulton and the treatment plant, based on the fact the town of Granby asked it. If we don't do it, we don't make the request, there's no action will be taken, the money will go someplace else because we just don't act. City of Fulton's offered to make the application for us. And that's what it comes down to.
They have offered to make,
Yep.
they have all of these.
Yep. Yeah, they're gonna do all the things as far as the application go for the engineering and all that, and all we do is support it.
It's completed already, the plan that they
The
have?
plan they've got isn't part of it. I just got the resolution. What they're gonna send to you is all the parts that have to go with it. Here's the application form. It's this thick, and just as soon as we get done, okay, the city will take and fill that out, take all the paperwork that's gotta be done, send it, and thereupon, if you get approval sometime in next year for the funding, then they would come back with a negotiation between the town and the city as to any money that's got to be spent. You got 15% that you could have to pay for.
15%
of 50,000. That's 50 is what?
500,000.
75,000. 75,000 bucks. And $75,000 buys you a $500,000 package.
What do we do with it then?
Well, you bought into a sewer plant. You never have to ask them to get in the sewer plant. You bought into it. It's your facility too. This same thing we had years ago and the town of Granby bought out of.
All right, so now it's, if we buy in as the town of Danby's, so then we don't have sewer districts anymore, it's for the people.
No, the sewer districts still have to be formed to feed into it. It's just the idea, to use a sewer plant, you have to pay some cost of the sewer plant the Fulton City has.
Okay.
Original.
What happens when they upgrade?
That's part of
We
this.
have to pay part of that, right?
This is the upgrade right here.
All right, well, next time they upgrade,
Well, next time if they decide to upgrade because of demand,
yes,
you might have to participate, yes.
okay. So we're buying into something that we're not sure we're gonna use, but we're gonna.
Well, you're gonna use it, use it now. You're using it now. You got a limit on how much you can go into the city right now.
Yeah, but our sewer districts are paying their own way right now.
The sewer districts are paying their way in because they've had two things happen. You've been adjacent to the city, and you've had the city's interest in fixing them. When you take a sewer district that's not adjacent to the city, specifically adjacent to the city, and you go to the city and say, I want in, and you say, you have a developer come on and want 50 units go in, okay? You're going to discussion about whether or not you're going to buy in that plant. Right now, they've been willing to do it because of some reason they've been affected by the odors and the contamination. They've been small applications. But back in the 70s, 75 or 78, the town of Granby had a comprehensive plan they were in the city with, and Volney was in it at the same time. And we spent money on studies, and when they put a referendum up and it didn't go through on Hannibal Street all the way to Granby Center, the town board took and decided that they would not participate anymore. The city of Fulton returned the funds that we had paid in the study, right? And the city of Fulton was by themselves and Granby was out of it. But there was a little number of thousand gallons left for the city of Fulton in that agreement. But now what you're doing is, if you don't make the application, the $500,000 strictly for the city of Fulton sewer plant at the request of Granby. If you don't make the application, it'll never happen. If you make the application and you get it, you may have to pay something if you can't negotiate something better than with the city of Fulton. I would think that if you got the majority of money, that the city of Fulton probably would pick up the cost of that extra, but I don't know that. You'd have to negotiate that.
But once we're in, we're in.
You're in, yep.
Okay, but and then when they upgrade, we're still in.
Well, proportionally be in, yes.
And if we don't use it, we're still in proportionally.
Well, no, you wouldn't, unless the upgrade come up and affected you, wouldn't, as long as you're not using it, it don't mean nothing. All they're gonna do is take the upgrade.
All right, if we're not using it and they upgrade,
That's their deal.
then we don't have to pay.
That's right. I would say that'd be the first thing I put in my negotiation, say, anything that's happened, we aren't participating, we don't buy. If we become, say something happened, we get 200 homes developed and you gotta be in there, you gotta buy in that plan anyway.
Well, I wouldn't want to buy into something that I had to pay maintenance on if I wasn't going to use it.
Certainly.
Okay, number two, aren't we getting pretty close to taking care of our problems in the congested areas like the sewer district north and Hannibal Street and Logan Street? We're pretty well getting these smaller congested areas into a district where we don't have a problem with people that have enough land for their septic systems.
That's right, but if you look at the fact that it costs money in tax dollars to maintain large areas of land for a house, and a developer comes along and wants to put up a quarter acre, a half acre, whatever number he wants to do, in some sort of new district you have, then they would have the opportunity to have the public service, their sewer and water to make that feasible.
That's true too.
I mean, all I'm saying is you gotta look at the future. You can't, I mean, how are you gonna look at this?
That's true too.
Yeah.
That's true too. I didn't look at that.
Okay, anybody else?
Well, all we're doing now is making the application.
We're supporting the application for the city of Fulton.
Somebody next year
To make up the
sometime
paperwork.
will have to decide whether they want to.
Somebody will have to make a decision once they get the funding.
Let's go ahead. What do you need, a resolution or
Yeah. Okay.
a motion or?
Anybody else have any other discussion on it? Having read the resolution, can I have it made by someone?
I'll make the resolution.
Okay, can I have a second? Can I have a second to the resolution?
I'll second it.
Okay. Resolution made and seconded. Roll call. Any other discussion?
No.
Well, the
So
negotiation
making the
is still gonna
application.
go
If they get
on
it,
once,
Pardon?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, we're just making an application, just so the city of Fulton can try to get the money and worry about it down the road.
That's right.
understand, the commitment here is, once you get it, you're buying in $500,000 worth of
Well,
the
yeah,
plant,
but-
okay, for the city of, for the town of Granby. Okay, yeah.
Now, a negotiation with the city of Fulton could be that they would pick up the 15%.
If you can, if we don't deal with them, they did that, yep. Because they're gonna get service fees from the people using it, okay? That's part of, another part of the package. So what you're doing is buying into something that's there, and the money, and I hate to say this, but that's the way the world works. There's grant money out there, there's money out there, and we've got an application out there, or we got a sum of money sitting out there that we've got allocated to town of Granby, and if we don't make the application, it won't go anywhere. I've got a resolution, I got a second. Any discussion here on the board?
It's only our own dollars coming back.
Now we get some of our state dollars back, maybe.
Okay, and can I,
The thing of it is, we bought it, you know, we did, yes, the whole community bought it in Miller's too. But I know that this isn't like Miller's, but it's sometimes that ice cream cone that sits out there looks real good till it melts, you know what I mean?
well, the problem, I understand that,
I know you're always looking ahead, and I don't condemn you for that, Jim. I
Well,
think you
thank
do
you.
a great job looking ahead.
okay.
But one of the, you know, and I don't take that away from you at all, but one of the things, and we gotta be a little pessimistic sometimes too.
Agreed.
And if we build that, if we buy into this, and a developer buys Brandon's property,
Yeah,
and subdivides it in an area, which is gonna come, you know it's gonna come, it's gotta come. I suppose that's a good idea, but then you gotta go to the pessimistic side of, well, look what happened over there when the brewery came in and had all the facilities and everything, and they built right up and used our roads and everything and pounded, and they pounded the hell out of our Granby roads too, you know what I mean?
well, if I could discuss the fact that people come in the community that never were in this community before and paid a pretty good dollar for somebody that wanted to retire and go someplace where the kids were. They bought the house at a good buck. The people left, they had a good sale because Howley sold good. And the guy said here, he upgraded his house, paid his taxes, the job went, he went, but he sold his house, did his house. The point, I can't take care of all the problems that go on in the world, but I can take care of the ones I think should be looked at. One of them is to give the person that's going to be a developer an opportunity to have a place to go with sewer. And that cuts the cost down to them, so you don't have to take and have all that property there that people have to pay taxes on. We charge taxes. If you own 2 acres of land, we're going to tax you for it. And that may not be real if you can't afford it, you know? So that's where I'm at. Is anybody else here on the board, any more discussion? No discussion, all, can I have a roll call vote?
Counselor Anthony? Counselor Greco?
Aye.
Counselor Marshall?
Aye.
Counselor Holloway?
Aye.
Supervisor Vest?
Aye. I can't spell it.
I thought you were signing the wrong place, but I'll sign it afterwards.
Okay.
There we go.
Resolution. Can I read that one? Read off this turn? All of them.
Resolution, be it now therefore resolved that the town board of the town of Granby, New York, does hereby agree to schedule a public hearing for the purpose of receiving public comment on the town of Granby preliminary budget for the fiscal year 1998. Said public hearing shall be held at the Granby Town Hall, October 29th, 1997, beginning at 7 p.m. I'll make the resolution.
Okay. Have a second to the resolution?
I'll second it.
Any discussion on the resolution? Budget here? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Not opposed, Madam Clerk. Resolution. Public hearing. Be it now further resolved, the town board of the town of Granby hereby agrees to schedule a public hearing on the purpose of receiving public comment on proposed town of Granby local law 4. As attached pertaining to the establishment of sole appointed assessor beginning January 1, 1998. Said public hearing shall be held at Granby Town Hall. And I'll leave that up to you for just a moment. We've got to get into that discussion, but let me read the law. Town of Granby Local Law Number 4. A local law to provide for one assessor of the Town of Granby pursuant to and under the Article 3, Title 2 of the Real Property Tax Law, being enacted by the Granby Town Board as follows. Section 1. There shall be but one assessor in the Town of Granby to be appointed by the Town Board for a term of 6 years. Section 2. The qualification, applicants, training, and certification and compensation of the assessor shall be determined by the Town Board and shall at all times be in compliance with Article 3, Title 2 of the Real Property Tax Law or other applicable laws of the state of New York. Section 3, the term of office shall commence on the first day of January 1998. The term of the office of all assessors present in office in office December 31st, 1997 shall terminate on that date. Section 5, this local law shall be subject to mandatory referendum shall take effect if and when approved by the selectors of the town of Granby at a special election to be held on the, and I'm leaving those 2 dates.
Is this a mandatory referendum?
It's subject to mandatory. Well, the thing of it is, if you want to get in before to do it, so you can have it, okay? And the question Mr. Hawthorne suggests, and he's looking at the 10 days following the action here, and his date for the public hearing would be October 16th, but I'm not sure we'd have 10 days notice in the paper because of the fact that our paper would be, is there a paper on the 13th?
Come on, 14th, Tuesday.
13th. So 10 days notice puts us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 would be the 23rd.
If you're going
So I would say that we're sort of jammed. I would think we'd want to do the public hearing. We might as well do the public hearing at the same time we did the other one on the road.
The 28th?
28th, and then a special election be held, and I would think the special election be in December. You would have this, he's saying a mandatory on or about December 16th.
Can we have it sooner than that?
Well, I haven't talked to him about the time factor between the
29th.
notification and the notification of the date.
Well, if it passes, you're gonna have time to put an ad, and I suspect the board will have to
Have some work on it, yep.
What's he saying?
Gonna be close. Okay?
That's good.
Are you saying do it all in the 28th meeting?
Well, the 20th have a public hearing on the that's the one on the gravel mining and this,
No, that
or whatever, we're doing the 28th. Not gravel mining,
Local law
local law 3 for
highway specs.
highway specs, yeah. Do them at the same time.
What time? You gotta have a time though, right? For that one?
Make that one 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock? Should be time enough, I would
Yep.
think.
Highway and 8 o'clock is,
Yep.
What, you gotta have
Okay.
you gotta have a special election?
Yep. Mandatory. We won't wait for a referendum, or we'll just have the referendum. So that would be, we can make the date. It won't make any difference because it would be so late. We might as well make it the same date as the hearing we're going to have on the 28th at 8 o'clock. Okay.
When do you set a date? You set a date for the election, you said, or?
So it's gonna be October the 28th for that at 8 p.m., so it don't matter.
7 p.m. and 8 p.m.
Yeah, it's this guy right, my phone, my age.
For the date for the election?
They're saying that. I think that's going to be a little difficult.
But Dennis, can he help us on that?
Yes, he can, but I can't get to him tomorrow morning. Let me take and consider the fact that we adjourn the meeting tonight till tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and we'll take and have Denny give us the legal opinion as to what we can do there. How's that on this resolution?
Good.
Rather than close the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we won't consider this resolution right now. We'll just table it.
Okay.
Just let it be. Okay.
What, call in tomorrow morning,
Yeah.
be there sometime.
Resolution. Be resolved that the town of Granby, Be resolved, the town of Granby hereby agrees to adopt as town policy that all violations of town of Granby dog control law, local law 1, be prosecuted by the commencement of civil action against violators per section 7 violation restrictions. What we have happening is,
I thought we resolved that.
we resolved it, but we gotta have a policy as a board record. It's in there, it says either, and we wanna make sure it's
No,
civil.
it doesn't
No, I thought
say
we
either.
resolved that. Didn't we, Ruth?
In the first part, it says,
Does it?
Yeah, I got the one that Ruth gave me, Jim, what are you referring to?
in here somewhere it says,
We went through it the other day.
I know, but in here somewhere.
We missed it?
Yeah, he said that they was,
No, it says civil.
serve an appearance ticket and bring a civil. She can't serve appearance tickets if she does a civil.
Is that where the hang-up is?
Yep.
On that one word?
Well, you can't serve, you don't serve appearance tickets, you have to take civil action on them, okay? So what you have to do is, he wants them all the same. So if you do them civil, so you get
Right, yeah.
recompensated for their actions, that's what he wants.
My understanding was that we write it up as civil, and with the agricultural marketing law, it still gives the justice the option of going either or.
But what the town attorney is saying, he wants you to do it one way only. So you don't have a person come in later saying he'd been discriminated against because you went against this guy civil and the other guy criminal. And where you get is the appearance ticket. There won't be any appearance tickets issued. Every case has to be a civil action where a notice goes out and handed to them.
Here, Vaughn, I got the correct one here if you need it. I want to look at it for a minute.
Now, where did you say this portion of?
It's in section 4, where it says, "Dog control officer shall have all the power of the peace officer in the execution of this local law and the execution of Article 7 of the Agricultural Market Law of the State of New York, including the serving of appearance tickets and the bringing of civil action in the name of the town of Granby." Okay? What he's saying that serving of appearance ticket would be a criminal action. It would come into court as a criminal action, and his advice to us is to make sure that we take and create the policy that's all civil action.
As we went through there, it said so.
Yeah, it says all
Because of that
civil,
one-
but
Okay, so that one word is the crucial word.
Yeah.
All right, he says he shall have all the powers of the peace officer to the conditions. It doesn't say that he has to, he's not gonna be involved in giving the appearance tickets. Tomorrow or next, there may be an alteration, a change next year
well, that would be
with our policy.
Yeah, but the board has to make that decision of which way you want them to go because of the discrimination factor. If you have 4 people in a row you take in for criminal and take in 1 civil, then you take in 2 more criminal, the person took civil, has to pay all the penalties, he's gonna get you for discrimination. That's what the lawyer's concerned about. What we're trying to do is resolve the issue where a person gets a dog violation, he comes into court, and we spend $700, and the court fines him $25, or $50, that's all they can fine. If we make it civil, a person comes into court under a civil thing, whatever the cost of the proceedings are, if he loses the case, he has to pay the fees for the case.
Yeah, but you're saying what the problem is, you can't issue appearance tickets.
Right.
You mentioned-
That's right, he's going to civil.
So you have a resolution here?
Well, I think,
Yeah, I got
well,
the
before you get
resolution.
in-
What is that?
The resolution, all it says in the resolution is, all be prosecuted by the commencement of a civil action against violations of restrictions, section 7, violation of restriction.
Section 7.
We don't have to change our law? We can just...
No.
Well, again, we got the same thing, appearance tickets.
That's right, local law, initial appearance to the violator is summoned before the commencement of civil action, okay? Or to commence a civil, he wants you to make it commence a civil action. They're all civil actions.
But it does say civil action, that's what I...
Or two. Appearance before the town court, or 2. He wants you to make it civil action.
Oh, so
I understand, all we want is our money.
Right. All right, so I guess he's got it, when he wrote this up, he made a mistake.
No, he said, in his cover letter, it said, somewhere here in
Oh,
his
I don't
cover
have
letter,
that cover.
said that decision had to be made.
By the town board, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought we made it at that time
No,
correct.
This is, he had gone through this in entirety a couple of times. And,
Let me read his comment here, okay? His comment. Our local law permits enforcement by the dog control officer to take the form of either a civil action or a criminal action. The option was written in the law to provide the town the flexibility to choose between one form of enforcement and the other. However, the choice of which method to be used should be made as a matter of policy through the passing of a resolution at town board level. What he's saying is you want to take and pick one or the other. We decided we want these people to pay for the total cost of taking care of the dog. And the civil action makes that happen. And this is dated September 30, 1997.
And show Bob that copy, that's the town clerk's copy, I want it, Bob, see, here's the law, you got
I
that?
got the law, and
you
I
got
got
the new one?
his
Well, that's-
letter also, and I know that the town justices also wanted to have a little leeway there so that,
I understand, all I'm conveying to you is what he's got in his letter and what he told me yesterday when I was down talking to him, and the fact you want a policy, one or the other. You don't care, but if you're trying to get the money back, you want to do civil. And if you do civil, you want to do them all civil.
under penalties, that's what we do indicate.
Yes, but that doesn't get them in court. You got to get them in court first. Okay? You got to get them in court, and you have to bring them in court under civil action rather than criminal action.
See, yeah, you go into section 8, it says penalty.
Section 7 is all we're talking about, violation of
Okay.
restriction. I mean, all I'm doing is tell you what
I know,
he put
I know.
here and what he told me, and that's what we got.
Remember when we had the work session,
Yeah.
we all agreed, we thought we
I know
read
we
this
did.
right now.
He's telling me you've got to make that choice.
How many times does it cost us $700?
About 3 times in the last 2 years. I mean, we don't budget for it, and when it costs us $700, we have to get a lot of dog license to pay for it. And why should the town suffer through it because some individual doesn't want to respond to the dog control officer's request that you take and contain your dog? And that's all it amounts to. It isn't like they're going out and do something. It's just that somebody has a complaint, and when you go out there and you tell them 3, 4 times, and finally she said, I'm going to take you to court, and the person comes in, he knows he can go in criminal, and this particular last one wanted to practice law, so he took us down the line, and it cost us, by the time we get done, the $700 didn't come from the fact that the guy paid him money. It cost us for the lawyer's fees, the civil action fees, the whole package. It cost us $700, which was better. So we try to resolve that.
The mistake is you shouldn't have had the word R.
No. The law says you can do either one. He's saying pick one. Which one do you want?
We wanted civil.
We want civil.
Civil. Okay, then the resolution takes care of it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
That's what we wanted, Bob.
Yeah.
I want to keep the copy, though.
Okay? Now what happened to my resolution?
You got it right.
No.
Oh, they didn't have?
No, here's someplace. What I
No,
do.
at any rate, Tony?
No, that's the wrong one. Here it is. Got it here. Okay, be now here, therefore resolved, the town board of the town of Granby, New York does hereby agree to adopt as town policy that all violations of the town of Granby dog control law, local law 1, be prosecuted by the commencement of civil action against violators per section 7 violation restrictions. Simple enough. Who wants to make the resolution?
I'll make it.
Resolution made by Mr.
And I'll
Rico.
second it.
Second by Marshall.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Anthony?
Aye.
Counselor Greco?
Aye.
Counselor Marshall?
Aye.
Counselor Palowitz?
Aye.
Supervisor Best?
Aye. Okay, resolutions to do with funding transfer. Resolution be it now therefore resolved the town of Granby, town board hereby agrees to transfer funds in an amount of $151.98 from Justice Clerk contractual account A1110.402 to Justice Clerk part-time contractual account A1110.43. And what this amounts to is the fact that we've had an over expenditure on Justice Court clerk going to school, which is legitimate. It just that we didn't have only so much money in the budget for it, and instead of taking out a contingency, we'll transfer it from the other justice court clerk funds.
How come we just don't make a motion on that?
Well, they want a resolution because it's financial change within the budget.
Oh, okay. Usually we make a motion.
I know.
I'll make a resolution then.
Okay. Have a second to it?
Second it.
Resolution seconded. Any more discussion on it?
If it was from the contingent fund, we wouldn't need to make it.
Right.
Should
But
be a
but we're
motion.
doing it within the budget.
How much was that?
$151.
$151.99.
Taking it from one court contingency to the other.
Any more discussion? No other discussion? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Anthony?
Aye.
Counselor Greco?
Aye.
Counselor Marshall?
Aye.
Counselor Followitz?
Aye.
Supervisor Best?
Aye. Okay. We need a motion to authorize Town Clerk Ruth Sheldon to, that passed, Madam Clerk. Motion to authorize Town Clerk Ruth Sheldon to apply for funding through the Oswego County Arts and Culture Decentralization Program for the purpose of restoration of vital statistic record books. Can you express what that's about?
Yes, we are in the process of trying to restore our records books, and we have done one. There's another one that's at Browns Rivers right now, the marriage books, and there are others that need to be done, to be restored, because they are falling apart. They're getting very old. Some of them go, the one book goes back to 1875, that still needs to be done. Others from the early 1900s. And these books must be kept forever. So we need to restore them in order to preserve them for the future. And I am in the process of preparing an application to Arts and Culture for a grant to help in the restoration and paying for the restoration of these books.
Okay.
Okay.
And the problem, we need a motion to authorize her to apply for the funding.
I'll make a motion, we apply for the fund.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second. Any discussion?
No, it just needs to be
Seeing none,
done.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None opposed, Madam Clerk? You did all right, Madam Clerk.
You combined two books on that first one.
Yes, and we are doing that with the marriage book, but the others have to be.
Gonna do two more, right, Ruth? You hope?
I'm hoping to get 2 or 3 done next year.
Let me just comment on the resolution we're talking about on the sole assessor. The town of Granby in 1988 did a data collecting, in 1998 did a data collecting reval in 1990 for the 1991 year. And there has been in the past, since 1971, it was mandated, I think, with 1971, to determine whether or not you have 3 elected assessors or 1 sole assessor. In 1971, if that's a proper date, the town board of Granby, I happened to be sitting on it, went through that process, and the vote was very overwhelming to keep 3 assessors. And it's been tried 2 or 3 different times since. The circumstances is that our assessors are part-time elected officials, and the situation develops where providing all the data and getting the properties that are new onto the books become a timely thing, and without them on the books, we don't put assessments on them. In 1997, one of the grievances we had was the fact that there was a house that was completely done and lived in, and there was no assessment on it. And all that grievant person did was says, look, I don't mind what I've done as far as my taxes, what I gotta pay, but there's one here that's living and there's no assessment on it. And that was his grievance. It is the responsibility of the town board not to do assessments. That's the town assessor job. But it is the responsibility of the town board to look at the options to provide for that service. we were to have $500,000 not on the books for 2 years in a row, compounded, that would be $1 million that we wouldn't have assessment on, that would be used for the tax base for both school, county, and the town general fund, highway fund, and the particular fire district it's in. I'm pleased, no matter what the circumstances are, with the operation of the town of Granby. I think we have done fantastic things. Rose Anthony in 1988, when she come on this board, made it a issue and done the data collecting, and we did take and do the reval. We have progressed. We have probably got one of the most efficient offices totally in the county. But one of the base items that maintains our town is the operation of the assessor's office. I have talked with the chairman of the assessors and advised him in no way is this a personal affront in any way at all. It's a business decision that the town board would consider as reasonable. It will be up to the citizens to determine whether or not they want to maintain the 3 assessor elected positions. The reality of the situation is, if you look at the town of Valney, what they're going through right now, and hear what they're saying, it's wherever the problem lays, wherever the situation developed, the biggest problem you have with it is that the town of Valney has themselves a crisis in terms of dollars being paid in actual dollars. Now, whatever caused that, in any manner, whatever caused that is all within the confines of the town of Valney. The county of Oswego had nothing to do with it. The school district had nothing to do with it. It's all within the town of Valney. In our situation, we are looking at a very competent assessment for the year of 1998. We have some problems. The board has been looking at this since May. We've had some concerns and been answered by the assessors, and has come to this point that if we could, by January 1, the administration in January 1 would have in place a single assessor to provide the basis for the 1998 school tax and the 1999 property taxes, county and town and fire districts, and hopefully they would be in pretty good shape. Whether that was accomplished or not is anybody's guess. The most important part of it is the town board right this moment is considering the action. And that's the job of the town board. And that's responsible town board. The citizens will determine whether it happens or not. That's their privilege. But the people who are on the town board, I think, are in agreement, and we'll find that out tomorrow when we take the vote, as to the fact that we should take and do something about that area. So that's where we're at. I'm not entertaining any discussion on it right this moment, because you're going to have a public hearing on it, and you'll have a vote on it if it's passed the public hearing. Okay. New York State Controller's Office. I'm sorry. Let me give you anybody else have any other new business? Bob, you got yours under reports or on your recreation?
That'd be under the report.
Okay. Anybody else have any other new business? Okay.
Can I have Ruth put a notice for planning board open?
We'll get to that in November.
Oh, you don't want to do it
No.
now?
November. Let me see what I'm into. Okay. Report of assessors. Let me get that.
Before we get in the reports, we can get into the legislature.
I can do that, yeah. Mr. Sabello, you have any?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a couple comments. The county did pass its budget. We did it last week, well, this week actually, and, no, I'm behind, yeah, last week. And It was a zero budget, in other words, no increases for the tax base, that is for the citizens of the community. We dropped it last year at 5% on the departments, 21% total on the tax structure. I gotta say, all departments came in at zero budget this year again. Rose's comment about the sales tax issue, hopefully the town of Granby will have 4 quarters of sales tax. The actual dollar amount is a tentative 180 or thereabouts if we have 4 full quarters. I certainly hope that the town board takes the initiative to, once again, reduce, if possible, taxes in the community. That's what that money was designed for, and that's what that money should be used for. In regard to your budget, I hope that the budget process, as the county has done, is restrictive, but we are holding our people, we have union contracts and so on we are dealing with, and we're still holding the lines. So I urge very much that that sales tax money hopefully will come out at 10 million, which 2 million will come back to the towns, as you know, and that portion would give us that. If it goes over that, naturally, more will come back. In regard to your water responsibility for Ox Creek there that came from the planning department, if the town board, whatever action applies, will have some money in the budget or not, I strongly suggest, since nobody's here from the water committee, Granby Clear Water Association, that the town board would make a decision, you know, if there's nothing in the budget, and send a notice to Paul Malo so he could have notice before 31st of October, if possible, so that that committee would know if there is going to be action or no action by the town board, so they could apply if need be themselves or whatever the reasons are, so we can notify the town or the county planning department. Yeah.
Oh, no, I just want to refresh everybody's memory that the dollar amounts that we deal with, the revenue from the sales tax, is in the budget. And I keep referring to that because it's obviously in the budget. It's part of our budget process. We can't do anything else but take into account for that. And I'm pretty confident that the town board will do just like they have in the past, make a responsible reaction to what the needs are for the town and do their job. In terms of the weed harvesting, what are we going to do there? We were proposed to have something submitted to us and discuss that anytime that's submitted. That was offered by Mr. Winkworth. I take it that offer's still good. He hasn't presented it yet, but when he does, we'll consider it. Right this moment, and as if we go to budget, there's no money in there for weed harvesting under environmental, right?
Yeah, in the tentative, we have none.
Okay. Just so everybody knows that, that's all.
Well, my only comment is that that committee, in due respect, is doing a job at this time, and if this board selects not to do anything, someone should be notified.
Well, we were advised they were going to come in and talk to us about what they proposed to do so we could incorporate it. We haven't heard it yet. They advised us they were going to talk to us last meeting.
Have you heard anything?
If you're talking about this being the last meeting of this particular month.
No, this is just, we got budget meeting. No, we're all weeks we got budget, or week this week, and we got budget meetings. We're having.
All right, I'm not, only thing I'm asking is if the town board should notify someone before the deadline.
Okay.
No, we can do that.
I'll try to get a hold of Ed. He's the chairman or something.
And he was going to give us that, so.
And he was supposed to see us.
Yeah. We already had that commitment from him, so what can I tell?
All right, whatever, as long as they get some kind of notification. And the Granby senior citizens took them to the jail and the 911 center on tour.
Took them to jail.
Nobody got into the jail itself because of the security problems, but they got a fine tour, and that happened yesterday, and we had some good comments. They got a free ride by Central, and it was an enjoyable situation. I'm glad that Rose was able to go on that. They didn't keep you down there, Rose.
No.
Other than that, there's a lot of processes going on. We are engaged in a number of projects for the coming year. I can only say that a lot of these I'll be giving reports on as I get the information on Sandy Island Beach, for example, as you heard me mention before, is in the process of possibly being acquired. But at this point, we have no information. And a number of other projects working. So, has anybody got any questions?
Morris, is Mr. Jarrett going to write a letter of estimated revenues for the sales tax? 1998 like he did last year?
I don't know that perfect, but I would assume they would.
Could you ask him to, please?
I can get that information to you, yes, I could.
Or Jim?
Okay, thank you.
Morris, on behalf of the seniors, I mean, this is what, the second or third bus trip that you've done for them. And I think they all really appreciate you going out of your way by doing this for the seniors. And I'll thank you for them.
Well, thank you. I think any of these, we've gone to the number of places, the landfill and so on, just to, I think it's good for the residents to see these things in action and what's going on.
They really appreciate it.
Where you're spending your dollars, and I'll be glad to do that with any necessary, so, thank you again.
Thank you. The one report, the Office of State Controller, 1997, there was a 3.9% increase in our revenue sharing from $51,000 to $53,000. Excuse me, sorry. Last one I had. Youth Bureau. You're going to make the report on the Youth Bureau, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to make the report on the dog control. Where I got my hand on here. Dog control September. Number of complaints is 25. Number of dogs picked up is 4. Number of dogs released is 4. Number of dogs on hand is 6. Expenditure of $152, and monthly mileage of 372 miles, and she had $20 with adoption fees that were collected. Gail Callan.
Does she indicate boarding fees since we added that into?
Well, the boarding, yeah, the impoundment fees collected, that would be fees that she would have when she collected those from people. They would pay when they come in.
How much was it?
Well, she doesn't have that. It's under impoundment fees collected was 0. I mean, if somebody come in and got the dog and they had her 3-4 days, she'd collect that money. I take it that's for boarding fee, I guess. Okay, assessors, Mr. Holt. After that fine presentation I did, not shooting any guns at you, I don't want you to shoot back.
After January, I can do a lot of golfing.
In Florida? Not here. How's that?
This is a short report of Town Board, Town of Granby. Grievance day in May 1997, we had 48 grievances. 20 of those were reduced for a total of $240,088. 28 of those were not reduced. Out of the 48, they weren't all, some were doubled up on as far as property owners go. That's 48 properties what I'm talking about. There was one small claims filed against the town. This petition did not qualify for small claims assessment review since the property was not owner occupied. It was therefore rejected. At this time, values that we have increased, less deductions, amounts to $545,440, which will be going on the roads next year. This amount will be upgraded week to week as we are still doing road work. Right now, we're getting a little bit busy time with people calling about the Star Exemption Program. Seniors will be applying for the Star Exemption on top of the pre-existing senior low-income exemption. They will qualify for the Star Exemption as long as they don't earn over $60,000. There's very few seniors that earn over that. But that'll be coming into effect March 1st, 1998. That's what their deadline is, actually March 2nd. Exemption filing deadline is March 2nd, 1998 for all exemptions, because March 1st, 1997 is on a Sunday. After that date, non-seniors can file for the Star Exemption with a deadline of May 1st, 1999. That's non-seniors. They have to be owner-occupied. That includes the seniors and the non-seniors. The Star Exemption is only for the reduction in school tax purposes only. It doesn't come off from town highway or county, just school taxes. Now, I've got brochures I can hand out after the meeting, or it can be taken off the World Wide Web. I have these brochures. On the World Wide Web, anybody have a computer or access to a computer, this is the way it'll come off. It's really, I think it's better reading this way. You can understand a lot better. It's questions and answers. And it's pretty well taken care of in that. It's also the same thing as in here, but in smaller print, of course. But if there's any questions on this is a new thing. It just come out in August. They just approved it in August. So there's going to be questions on it. If it isn't answered in this, we can't answer it. We'll get the answers.
Ray, do you have copies of the one off the computer, just the little one?
I just got the one.
Yeah, okay.
It's about the same thing in this.
Is it?
But I'll hand these out if anybody wants them.
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate it, Ray. I realize that the load gets bigger and bigger as we go on here, and they add more opportunity for people to remove themselves from the roles if they can.
No,
for
this is
what
just
partial.
another added chore, you know. But this is good. It's a good deal.
Okay, thank you.
Ray? Mr. Holt?
Assessor Holt.
Where's the turns around here?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yes.
Back sometime in June, we sat down with all three assessors, and we were supposed to be updated or have a status report on the building permits for a certain year.
Uh-huh.
And you were going to give us a status on that monthly. In fact, one of the assessors said it would be no problem. They'd be all done by July or August, I believe.
September.
That statement was made by one assessor. It wasn't made by the chairman.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that.
Well, is there a status of the years being done?
Well, that amount I gave you tonight, the 540,000, is what I did by myself. I did 33 permits. And no comment on the rest. The rest aren't done.
Okay.
Can we have a status report from the other two also? Because there was a considerable amount.
From the other two what?
The other two assessors.
If I can get a hold of them, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and well,
I can give you a report if that's what you want.
yeah,
I can't give it to you
think
tonight.
we need something because we're talking a lot of money here, and the other thing is that, and I brought this up earlier on the one of the vouchers for one of your assessors. There's a $345 charge for a school that he'd gone to, and I'm not sure where that falls in the bailiwick of the town here. Usually,
If I remember right, didn't I give you an answer on that, Bob?
yeah, you said you didn't know.
I don't?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to make a public thing out of it, okay.
No,
I don't know
no.
anything about it. I told you to ask that assessor. That's the amount he put in, not me. So why are you asking me?
Well, you're the chairman of the assessors, and
Yeah, you hit me with this tonight. I told you I can look into it.
I just saw it tonight. And I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just.
Well, you are.
I don't mean.
I thought I answered that question before.
We still need an answer, though.
I can't give you an answer tonight.
Okay, good.
That's what I told you before.
Okay, thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
So, okay.
Ray,
The-
my offer still goes, Ray.
Planning Board, Lyle, any comments or Planning Board?
On a comprehensive plan, there's a time factor on that because of the county only has one spot available for a town to fill for the comprehensive report.
No problem. As soon as tomorrow sometime, I'll be in check with Mr. Marks.
They only do 2 at a time, 2 towns at a time, and there's already one in. They're finishing up one at this point.
I will check with Ed tomorrow and see what we're talking about in terms of what we're trying to, what kind of contract, what kind of thing we're talking about, and go. I'll get a hold of Jim too tomorrow and find out what's going on also. Don't be afraid to call me in the mornings. I'll be here after 10:30. You can give me a call. Anything else? Okay. Historian, I got a letter from her relative to these inventory records procedures through the Sarah grant. Things are going along as planned. However, we'll need to discuss a place to store supplies such as envelopes and folders and so on. I'd appreciate a moment of your time sometime in the near future to discuss the above. Thank you for your use of your hand truck and for taking time out of your busy schedule to drop it off. We'll need to use it just a little while longer so we move file cabinets around. And if you have any suggestions or helpful hints that will help us speed up the process of the inventory grant, we'll be glad to listen. We expect to take the full amount of time as allowable because of the condition the room was in when things got started. But the next grant should be obtained when it should be that much easier. Thank you in advance for your cooperation in this matter, Elaine Woodwidge. And they are working at that area in the building out there. Building zoning officials, I've made a couple requests of the town building inspector based on the request on Studio 48 and the others. I haven't had an update on that. I tried catching Steve again today.
Oh, you didn't get a chance to talk to him?
No, I called him.
He wanted a motion to proceed.
Well, that's why I asked him if he had it, he had to send me something to do. We can talk to him tomorrow morning. We still be working. We don't adjourn tonight. We're just going to take an adjourn to tomorrow, okay? Zoning Board of Appeals, the last case they had was a case on, as far as I know, the only thing they've got, I guess Kim is gone. The case they had was, last one I know of is the property on Bingham Road, and that's resolved.
Homer's on the ZBA.
I'm sorry, Homer.
It's okay, you're not big enough.
No action. Okay, thank you, sir. That's a good positive word. Okay. And that means we did get no action. We aren't going to be in any action, okay? Good deal. Highway Superintendent?
Yeah, I'm gonna run down for the month of September. We finished our roadside mowing for the season. With the temperature change, we may have to get it back out again to save up the heat and trees. But, over in District 1, they don't have a permanent place for the voting machines, so we always end up moving them before the elections and back after, and we did that for the primary. We installed a 36-inch culvert on Pendergast Road. I'm cutting some brush and trees and swept some roads as needed. We did some improvement work to the intersection of Cowpath Road and County Route 8. That's the section to the east, the unimproved section. We did some drainage and ditch work with a grade all, and we started hauling sand for winter use, which will probably continue for another week and a half or so.
I got one question, Lynn. I know me and you have discussed it, and I think you've already discussed it with a couple of constituents down on Pendergast Road. I don't know if you're going to get to it. They're concerned about where you widen it. They think it's a great job. But they were wondering if you're going to put some kind of railing, seeing it's one heck of a drop-off.
Well, I have a cost to install some railing. I was waiting till, I still have some outstanding bills from the county for some equipment rental, which I don't have. And when I get those bills in, I'll look at what I have left in my budget and see if we can afford to do it this year. I may have to wait till next year.
You know they've talked about it. I don't know if we ever be liable in the case if they go off. Boy, that's one drop.
We'll at least put delineators if we don't do it, if we can't do the guide rails.
Yeah, something, yeah, okay.
Okay, town board members. Senior citizen.
We went on that bus trip yesterday. Morris already explained it.
Okay. Mr. Greco.
The only thing I got, with the planning board, the Hoffman expansion was approved, and I understand the Cellular One's going to put up a tower on Route 48, and there's going to be a public hearing on October 28th, and I thought we had something set up for the 28th.
We do. I didn't know you had a.
Lyle, is that correct? Going to be a public hearing on October the 28th about a cellular tower?
It's a tentative date that was set up last night.
All right, we just set up a couple of public hearings too now.
Well, that's okay. let me have the secretary get in touch with him tomorrow and see what you got happening. We can use the other building for your hearing too, okay?
What's the location on that?
I was just gonna ask Lyle, all I was able to find out was Route 48, Blackburn property, and I can't place offhand what end of 48 we're talking about, eh?
You know where the country bumpkin is, or was?
Oh, okay.